My beloved child, today I see you drawing near to me, no longer wearing the garment of concealment, nor wearing the appearance of trying to seem strong before me. I see you laying down the layers that once helped you endure many seasons of pain. Yet those very layers have also made you weary and caused you to forget the tenderness and purity I placed within you from the beginning. You do not need to enter my presence as someone who must prove that they are worthy. You do not need to arrange every crack so it looks beautiful before you dare to come. I do not require you to bring me a whole heart. I simply invite you to bring me an honest one. Even if that place has been distorted by wounds, covered with dust by false names spoken over you, or drawn inward because of fear and disappointment, I can still touch it, reshape it, renew it, and restore to you the form my love had intended from the start. There have been seasons when you ran very far away, not necessarily with your feet, but through busyness, through the effort to please others, through the times you forced yourself to prove that you had value. You grew tired of living under the gaze of the world, tired of listening to voices telling you that you had to achieve more, be stronger, be more perfect, and hide the tender parts of yourself so you would not be looked down upon. But my child, in my eyes, you are not loved because you perform well, not preserved because you have never made a mistake, and not called by name because you have become perfect. You belong to me before you knew how to do anything worthy of praise. You were formed from my loving will, covered by my mercy, and placed into this life not to be forgotten, but to reflect my gentle light in a way that only you can. Therefore, let me wipe away the names fear has attached to you. You are not a failure. You are not something abandoned. You are not the sum of your stumbles, your rejections, the relationships that wounded you, or the seasons in which you no longer recognized yourself. Those things may have passed through your life and may have left their marks, but they do not have the right to write the final word over you. I am the one who calls you by your true name. In my eyes, your value is not diminished by what has been broken. On the contrary, the very places you thought had fallen silent in death can become the soil where I sow new life. The very areas where you once felt ashamed can become the place where my light enters most powerfully. The very memories you wanted to bury can be transformed by me into testimonies of restoration. You do not need to beg me to appear in some great shaking before you believe that I am here. Many times, I come to you quietly, like the breath of peace in a still room, like wordless support, when you thought you could not stand any longer, like a gentle reminder within your heart that you are not alone. I am in the moment when you sit down and stop running. I am in the tear you no longer try to hide. I am in the silence you once feared, turning it into a room of encounter, where you do not need to play a role, make a presentation, or make yourself more lovable. Simply remain with me, and you will learn again what life has caused you to forget. You are enough, not because you have created sufficiency within yourself, but because my love covers you. Remember the prodigal son who left his father's house, taking his share of the inheritance and going into a distant land. When he had spent everything he had, when his dignity seemed buried beneath the dust of the road and his hunger, he returned with a trembling confession. But the father did not stand at the gate to punish him, nor did he force his son to recount every mistake before allowing him back into the house. The father ran to him, embraced him, clothed him with a new robe, placed a ring on his hand, and held a feast. Beloved child, this is the image I want you to engrave deeply within your heart. I do not wait for you to return in perfection. I receive you while you are still tired, still trembling, still carrying the scent of the long road. I do not rejoice because you were hurt. I rejoice because you have turned your face toward home. And home is not merely a place, but my embrace, where you are called back by love, restored in honor, and reminded that you have never lost your place in the Father's heart. Therefore, do not offer me only the parts you consider beautiful. Bring me also the things you once hid, the thoughts that made you ashamed, the fears you dared not speak to anyone, and the disappointments you tried to suppress because you feared being seen as weak. I do not enter those rooms to condemn you. I enter to open the windows to let light pour and to let new air replace the old suffocation. What is brought before me will no longer have to rule over you in darkness. When you give me a wound, I can turn it into a place where compassion grows. When you give me a collapse, I can turn it into a step toward maturity. When you give me a painful memory, I can anoint it so that it is no longer a chain, but a marker of grace. I know there are joys that were once stolen from you. There are voices within you that were silenced by hurt, by the fear of rejection, and by the times you were misunderstood or neglected. But I have not forgotten the original sound I placed within you. I will call it back. I will restore life in the places that have withered. I will teach you to sing again, not necessarily with songs, but through the way you learn to trust, to breathe, to smile, to stand up, and to love without losing yourself. My silence is not an empty space of abandonment. It may be the cradle where something new is being formed. In that stillness, you will hear my whisper more clearly, and in that whisper you will find yourself again in the Father's gaze. Give thanks, not because everything has been easy, but because I did not leave you in what was difficult. Give thanks because I do not look at you the way people often look at one another. People may see only outward actions and rush to judge, but I see the seed still buried deep beneath the weary soil. People may remember your mistakes, but I remember the promise I placed upon you. People may leave when you no longer meet their expectations, but I am the one who searches when you wander, the one who calls when you fall silent, and the one who lifts you when you no longer have strength to stand on your own. My love is not a stream that runs dry with the seasons. My mercy does not diminish because you have one day of weakness. What I have sown within you, I still believe in, still guard, and still cause to grow in my timing. So today, lay down the burden of needing to become perfect before you can be loved. Let me recreate you with gentleness, raise you up with quiet power, and lead you into a life no longer controlled by what is old. You no longer need to live in fear. You no longer need to hide behind old coverings. You can choose life, choose light, choose to return, and choose to believe that my hand is still skillful enough to remake what has been broken. Remain in me, and let me remind you each day that you were created by love, covered by grace, called into freedom, and never forgotten. I am here, in this very moment, closer than your breath, more patient than your confusion, more faithful than every change in life. Rest, my child, for I am renewing you from within, and what I am doing will be more beautiful than what you once thought you had lost. My beloved child, there are things you have held on to for so long that you have begun to think they are an indispensable part of your life. But in truth, they are only quiet cords wrapped around your steps. There are familiar things that appear safe, yet within them they wear you down day by day. There are bonds you call responsibility, but in truth, they are only the fear of losing what you have grown accustomed to relying on. There are habits you call your nature, but in truth, they are old wounds trying to continue living in you. Therefore, Today I call you into holy courage. Look deeply at what you are holding and ask yourself whether it is nourishing you or draining you, whether it is leading you closer to the light or pulling you back into darkness. Do not let familiarity deceive your eyes. Not everything that has remained beside you for a long time belongs to you. Not everything you fear releasing is something I want you to keep. In my gentleness, I do not call you to let go in order to leave you empty, but to make you open. I do not take the old from you merely to cause pain, but so that you may have room to receive what is new, pure, and more complete. You often think that releasing is loss, but in my kingdom, releasing is often the first door. A hand still full of thorns cannot receive healing oil. A room still crowded with decaying things cannot welcome the fragrance of a new season. A heart still bound by fear, resentment, shame, and old words cannot freely enter the realm of peace I have prepared. My child, what I desire is not for you to lose yourself, but for you to return to the true self I created. Pure, free, steadfast, and no longer defined by old darkness. But before you can be set free, you must be honest. Honesty is the key I place in your hand to open the door before which you have stood many times but have not dared to enter. You may smile before others, say that you are fine, and cover your cracks with busyness, laughter, and reasonable explanations. But in the deepest place, you know what is hurting you, what you are trying to justify, and what warning you have heard, but tried to ignore. I do not invite you into truth in order to condemn you. I invite you into truth in order to heal you. What remains hidden for too long becomes darkness, but what is brought into the light begins to lose its power over your life. Stop pretending before yourself, beloved child. Name what needs to be named. Look directly at what is holding you captive, not so that you may be ashamed, but so that you may be free. Do not be afraid when you see your own weakness. I know you have had days when you could not stand firm, choices that made your heart heavy, and moments when you knew what was right, yet still returned to the old because it felt more familiar than change. I did not leave you in those moments. I did not stand far away, waiting for you to become perfect before loving you. I am your Father, and my love is not withdrawn simply because you stumble. But my child, it grieves me to see you lying still in a place that was only meant to be passed through. It grieves me to see you befriend the mud when I have prepared clear waters for you. It grieves me when you call chains destiny, darkness home, and compromise peace. I do not blame you because you once fell. I simply do not want you to pitch your tent in the place that wounded you. Remember the paralyzed man who lay beside the pool of Bethesda for 38 years. He was very near the place where people believed healing could happen. Yet he himself was trapped in prolonged waiting, in familiar explanations, and in helplessness that had become part of his life story. When my son drew near and asked, "Do you want to be made well?" that question touched not only his body, but also his will to rise from an old way of life. I want you to hear that question today in a new way. Do you truly want to be free? Not merely comforted in your chains, not merely made to hurt less in the place of captivity, but truly ready to stand up, pick up the old mat, and walk into another path. For there are healings that require you to leave the place where you have grown used to lying. There are restorations that require you to stop making the past your shelter. There are miracles that begin when you agree not to return to the old excuse anymore. So, each day, choose the light. Do not underestimate small choices, because it is the small things that quietly weave the greater path. A word you refuse to speak because you know it would sow bitterness. A habit you stop because you know it dulls the purity within your heart. A relationship where you set boundaries, because you know it pulls you away from peace. A thought you no longer feed because you know it causes you to doubt your worth. All of these are small stones I use to rebuild the foundation within you. If you so compromise, sooner or later you will see thorns grow where flowers should have bloomed. But if you sow truth, obedience, purity, and courage, your harvest will carry the fragrance of peace. Not fragile peace that depends on circumstances, but peace that stands firm because it is rooted in me. I do not demand that you change completely in one day. I know the journey out of the old place requires perseverance. I know that sometimes you will miss what once bound you, not because it was good, but because it was familiar. I know that freedom at first can feel strange, because one who has lived long in a narrow room may fear even the wide-open sky. But do not turn back simply because your first steps still tremble. Every day you choose what is right, even a little, the chains grow weaker. Every time you say no to what is old, the beautiful part within you is given room to breathe. Every time you come to me in truth, light finds one more way in. I will not despise your small steps. I will bless your perseverance. I will lift you when you are weary, teach you discernment when you are confused, and keep you from returning to the place from which I have called you out. You were created not to live in obscurity, and certainly not to bow your head before voices that make you forget who you are. You are called to become a lamp that is lit, first within your own heart, and then shining for those around you who have lost their way. But light cannot shine from a place that continually conceals darkness. Therefore, let me cleanse every room of your life. Let me touch the memories you have locked away, the fears you have nourished for too long, and the desires you have renamed to make them easier to accept. I do not come to destroy you. I come to set you free from everything that is distorting the beauty I placed within you from the beginning. I never regard your sincere questions as weakness. On the contrary, when you come to me with an honest heart and say, "Father, I do not understand. Please show me the way I should go," my heart rejoices because you are placing your trust in the right place. What grieves me is not that you ask too many questions, but that you ask every voice out there before asking me. You seek affirmation from one person, advice from another, signs from circumstances, and approval from the eyes around you, and only afterward do you return to me when your heart has become tangled. My child, I do not blame you, but I want to teach you a new rhythm of life. Before you run to the world looking for an answer, sit in my presence. Before you allow fear to drive your actions, let my peace be the judge within your heart. Before you call an opportunity a blessing, ask whether it carries the fragrance of obedience or merely the glittering light of what you desire. The faith I am building within you is not a flame that flares high and quickly dies when the night wind comes. I want that faith to become a steadfast oil lamp, quietly burning through the long watches, still shining without applause, still holding warmth without favorable circumstances. Some people believe only when everything is easy, stand strong only when the promise is already visible before their eyes, and walk only when the road has been made smooth. But I am inviting you into another depth, where you learn to recognize my voice among many mixed sounds, where you learn to distinguish holy guidance from momentary excitement, and where you learn to keep your heart upright, even when no one yet understands why you have chosen to wait. When you allow every decision to be soaked in prayerful inquiry, placed under the light of discernment, and upheld by certainty in me, you are not only walking in faith, you are walking in wisdom shaped by heaven. Remember that I do not teach you to slow down so that you will miss what is good. I teach you to slow down so that you will not step away from the path I have already marked out. I do not place discernment within your heart to make you suspicious of everything, but so that you will know how to look deeper than what the surface displays. I do not call you to pause because I want to control you, but because I am protecting the precious things I have sown within you. The purity of your intentions, the peace of your heart, the endurance of your calling, and the beauty of a life that knows how to listen and obey. You may think that if you do not act immediately, you will lose the opportunity. But my child, what comes from me will not require you to trade away your peace in order to hold on to it. What I give will not force you to run faster than my voice, and what truly belongs to you will not be lost, simply because you choose to ask me before deciding. Look at Gideon, whom I called while he was still hiding, trembling and not believing that he could do anything great. When the calling came, he did not immediately rush out like someone confident in his own strength, but he asked. He sought confirmation, and he needed to be strengthened within. I did not despise that trembling. I patiently met him through each sign, each small step, and each moment when he needed to be reminded that I was with him. And then, from a man who thought he was small, I made a leader who brought my people into victory. Do you see? I do not hate questions that arise from a heart that wants to obey. I do not extinguish the one who trembles, yet still turns toward me. I only want you not to use fear to delay forever, and not to use zeal to run ahead of me. Let me train you in that holy balance, humble enough to ask, trusting enough to step forward, wise enough to wait, and courageous enough to obey when I speak. Maturity in me does not always come through great storms or battles that exhaust you. Many times, maturity is formed in very small moments, when you want to respond but choose silence so your heart will not be drawn into bitterness. When you want to hold on, but know how to let go, because I have placed peace on the side of release. When you want to prove that you are right, but choose to keep your heart tender before me. When you want to move quickly, but are willing to pause and ask, does this please the Father? Those quiet choices are making you deeper. The moments when you do not react according to old habits are opening the way for a new person to be formed within you. I am not calling you to become cold, closed off, or hardened toward life. I am calling you to become steady yet gentle, discerning yet kind, strong yet willing to listen. There are things you need to hold with faithfulness, and there are also things you need to release in obedience. There are relationships that must be covered with compassion, but not every relationship is permitted to steer your life. There are doors you must walk through, but there are also doors that, though bright and beautiful, are not meant for the journey I have chosen for you. Therefore, do not listen only through tender emotions, and do not judge only through old fear. Let your mind be washed in my truth. Let what you feel be examined under holy light, and let every decision, great or small, bear the mark of peace that comes from me. When faith joins with wisdom, your life will bear good fruit. When zeal is led by discernment, your steps will not easily be swept away by things that sparkle yet are empty. So, my child, do not fear the rhythm I am teaching you. It is not delay but preparation. It is not limitation, but a preserving embrace. It is not a voice that weakens you, but a light that helps you stand firmer. Walk with me, not running ahead because of impatience, not falling behind because of fear, but moving in the peaceful rhythm of obedience. When everything is unclear, keep holding my hand. When you do not know whether to speak or remain silent, move forward or stop, hold on or let go, ask me first. I will not abandon you in confusion. I will teach you to recognize what is my voice, what is the noise of human hearts, what is a door of grace, and what is a turning that only appears beautiful on the outside. And while I teach you, I am also holding you, because you are not learning these things alone. You are being guided by your Father, under a light that never goes out, in a love that never changes. And the most beautiful place for you will always be where you walk with me, one rhythm at a time, one day at a time, until my peace becomes the solid ground beneath your feet. There are times when you think you must be strong enough, wise enough, trusting enough, and peaceful enough before you are allowed to come near me. But I do not call you because you are already complete. I call you because you belong to me. You do not need to wear a false appearance of calm, nor stitch together beautiful words to please me, nor hide the cracks that are quietly bleeding within your heart. I am not searching for a prayer decorated with perfection. I am searching for the honest voice of your heart, even if that voice is only a broken breath. When you do not know what to say, except, "I am so tired," I still hear. When you simply bow your head in silence, I still understand. When you sit motionless in a room and think you have nothing left to offer, I still receive you. Because the most precious thing you can bring to me is not achievement, not the appearance of strength, but yourself in your most honest and tender weakness. So do not be afraid of your exhaustion. Your weariness does not make me disappointed in you. Your unanswered questions do not cause me to leave you. The trembling in your faith does not make me turn my face away. I know you have tried for a long time to stand firm, smiled many times while shaking inside, and told yourself that you had to be a little stronger, so no one would worry, no one would be disappointed, and no one would see you breaking. But my child, I am not like those who love you only when you are okay. I am not the accusing voice when you are weak. I am your Father, and in my arms, you do not need to play the role of someone who does not know pain. You may cry, you may be silent, you may confess that you do not understand why everything happened as it did. I am not offended by your truth. I do not despise the words you speak. In the night, I am generous enough to embrace even the things you do not yet know how to arrange within your heart. Remember the prophet Elijah, who once stood before the people in mighty power, who saw fire answer from heaven, and who witnessed my hand working in wondrous ways. Yet afterward, he still ran away in fear, sat beneath a broom tree in the wilderness, and became so weary that he asked for everything to end. I did not rebuke him in anger. I did not tell him that one who had seen miracles was not allowed to be weak. Nor did I force him to immediately stand up, preach, or prove his courage. First, I let him sleep. Then I sent an angel to touch him and place warm bread and water beside him, as a quiet word of love, saying, "Eat, for the journey is too much for you. Do you see? I care for the weary not with condemnation, but with gentleness. I know that before you need an answer, you need to be supported. Before you can continue walking, you need to regain strength. Before you understand the whole path, you need to know that I am still sitting close beside you." In the same way, when you are in a season of exhaustion, I do not come to add more weight to your shoulders. I come to nourish you with peace, to touch the deepest place that is aching, and to remind you that one weary day does not define your entire journey. Do not mistake present weakness for final failure. Do not look at today's tears and think that the future has closed. In my hands, even the days you thought were useless can become good soil for something holy to grow. There are seasons when you do not feel that you are moving forward. Yet in truth I am doing a quiet work within you, untangling old fears, softening the places that have grown hardened, teaching you to stop clinging to the outward appearance of strength and to learn to lean on my unshakable love. Therefore, do not hide from me the things that are tangled within you. Bring me even the disappointment you have not dared to name. The anger you once feared was wrong, and the doubt knocking at the door of your mind in lonely hours. I am not afraid of those scattered pieces. I knew them before you had the courage to speak them. There is no room in your heart so dark that my hand cannot enter, no memory so deep that my grace cannot reach it, no wound so old that I consider it no longer worth healing. What you see as shameful may be the very place where I want to place the mark of restoration. What you try to bury may be the place where I sow light. What you think makes you unworthy may be the place where I reveal that my love is not built on your perfection, but on the enduring covenant of my own heart. Then there will come a time when the noise within your heart grows still, not because every question has been answered, but because you know you are being held. The peace I give does not always come like a great wind throwing every door open. Many times it comes like a small lamp lit in a dark room, enough for you to see the next step, enough for you not to despair, enough for you to remember that I am still leading the way. You do not need to see the entire road in order to trust me. You only need to place your trembling hand in mine today. The rest I will keep. What you cannot understand, I am still governing. What you cannot repair, I can still restore. What you cannot put into words, I still hear with the love of a father who never sleeps through the pain of his child. Come near to me as you are, without embellishment, without hiding, without fear. Let me love you right in the place where you feel weakest. Let me sit beside you in silence until your heart no longer shrinks back in fear of being abandoned. I will not change simply because you have a wavering day. I will not leave you simply because you do not yet understand the whole path. I am still the one who called you by love, still the Father who holds you in the storm, still the unfailing light in the long night. And when you no longer have enough strength to hold on to me, remember this: I am the one carrying you. I am the one keeping you. I am the one whispering over your life. My child, rest. I am still here. I still love you, and I will lead you through.